Everyone keep their clothes on is the important.
Getting a little too comfortable.
That was Carol trying to take her shirt off. We had to be like, all right, Carol, calm down.
CentralPod friends, welcome back to the pod. My name is David. I am a lifelong Friends fan. I've been watching Friends since the 90s.
when it started. I am Nikki. I'm also a huge Friends fanatic. My mom and I watched Friends ever since I was just a little girl.
And I am Carol, your Friends TV show newbie. I've never watched a full episode until we are watching them together for this podcast.
And this is the second episode. This is the one where we talk about the one with the sonogram at the end.
Okay, this is episode 2, the one with the sonogram at the end. In this episode, we learn that Ross's ex-wife, Carol, is pregnant. We have to deal with Monica's awful parents, and Rachel has to give back the engagement ring to Barry. What did we think of this episode?
Yeah, a lot. I started out with the cold opening.
Yeah, where they talk about foreplay.
Yeah, they always try to be hip, I guess. You mentioned that last time, that it's always like sexual talk.
Sexual.
So far, that's been
hip
true.
Kids in the city.
I do like that it was a consistent opening to the pilot where they're at the coffee shop. We get to see all 6 main cast members, and they're sort of like playing off of each other. And so you get like a let's talk to everybody for 5 minutes during the opening. That was
They're
nice.
so casual in that. They're like laying around on the couches and like sitting up on the armchairs.
Right, and the metaphor they use about
Concerts.
sex is, the foreplay and the main event being an opening act and the main event.
Comedian and Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I've never seen or been to a concert that was the opening act was a comedian. I've heard of this. I've heard comedians talk about their terrible experiences opening for bands, but I've never experienced it. It's always been completely separate.
Comedians don't open for bands.
Yeah,
they do. I hear comedians like David. I've heard comedians
weird.
talk about it a ton. I've been to a lot of shows. I would say, well, no, like I've been to like a decent amount of shows.
You
used to promote concerts, so like you've been to plenty of
my
concerts.
height, I was going to like 4 a week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You never saw a comedian.
No, opening.
Who are these comedians?
Not once ever.
And what are these shows?
It is sort of like, I thought it was a layered metaphor. Because like girls like funny guys,
there you go.
And then like the Pink Floyd is like a mystical, like next level type music
out of body
get,
experience.
So I thought
I guess
like an orgasm for your ears.
Fan either. Like, I couldn't name a song. I'm sure there's like you could put on a popular Pink Floyd song and be like, "Oh, this is Pink Floyd," and then I'd be like,
Money.
Oh, another brick in the wall.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Wish you were here.
So yeah,
Come
Dark
on.
Side of the Moon.
Yeah, right. Come on, you know Pink Floyd. Don't act crazy.
I've never owned an album.
Or you're putting if you don't eat your meat.
Yeah.
Right?
I always thought it was before my time.
It is.
I mean, technically.
It is. I will say we brought this up last time when it was like a Joni and Chachi joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are 30-somethings in early 1990.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making like extremely, for me, dated references.
They're like 60 years old now.
Yeah.
Like, we are all much younger than that.
It was 94.
We are technically
was-
millennials, all of us.
I was 9.
In this.
Yeah.
About to be 10.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
I was 3.
Still.
Carol was in 94.
4th grade.
4th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, in this episode, like, which storyline was your favorite? Like, who called out to you guys in this episode?
Well, I guess it was Ross. I feel bad for Ross in this one.
Mm-hmm.
We open up, setting up the bomb dropping when he's at work, and that woman that he's talking to,
Who's wearing a vest?
Who is wearing a vest? She wore
See,
a
I didn't
red
even
vest.
notice. I was just too offended by everything she said. I was like, I am so glad we never see this woman again. This is the only time
She
Ross
was
ever talks to her.
unfriendly.
She was
Yeah, she was
very
terrible.
Yeah.
I was like,
she was mean.
She's very
Yeah.
bitter. But that's honestly, that's like work right? Like that's your coworker that you're like, ugh, this is not. It's almost like such a nice sharp contrast between the chemistry Ross has with the friends, the main six, versus like this is you at work. Yeah. Like this is the dynamic you have at work.
They don't have work.
I don't think she was a scientist or a paleontologist. She's just like
she wore a red vest. So
she's like a set designer.
No, they do
eventually separate them out. And I believe the red vests, and I'm probably wrong, but the red vests are the ones who go around and like talk to them. They're like, this is what this era is. Like they do the tours.
The Jurassic era.
Oh, they call them
tour people.
Tour guides.
Yep. No, there's a word. Whatever. There's a word. There's an actual docent.
Docent. That's it.
It's a docent.
I only know that because of young Sheldon. He gets the docent position at the train museum. And fire.
All right, this is the word of the day, docent.
But yeah, again, I'm just glad we never see that woman again.
Her name was Marcia.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I caught it.
I did not catch that. Because he gets annoyed. Yeah. And then we meet Carol.
Yes.
For the first time.
She, this actress who plays Carol, does not come back, but we do love her. She
pulled a coach.
Beautiful hair.
She pulled a coach with the new girl where they swapped out Winston and Coach, so Carol gets swapped out.
Yeah.
With the actress
and
who
I think
apparently was originally offered the role of Rachel and turned it down.
That's
a dumb mistake. I just learned.
That's so crazy.
That is.
I forget her name. I don't have it written down this time.
What a dummy.
Yeah.
I will say this: the two main storylines are very heavy. They're very grown up storylines, and they're very true to grown up life. I mean, I am 40, y'all are not quite there yet, but these are storylines that happen in real life. You know, people break up. There's like marriages that don't work out. There's unplanned babies. Like these are, the next relationships coming in, and like, how do you navigate this very heavy, serious situation in your life? And it is, I will say this is, not the show, but let's be honest, it's a really, the cast is very supportive of each other, and they're very kind, and like these little quips that they're making along the way really help buffer these extremely serious grown-up situations that we find ourselves in. Fucking episode 2.
Yeah, it's a feel.
But they try to
show.
undercut that with like the scene where she has to give the ring back to Barry, and she finds out that he went on their honeymoon with her maid of honor. It's like a really fucked up thing. Yeah. But also, so is her leaving him.
I was going to say.
Yeah, the whole thing is messed up. So
no,
they decided to have this argument in front of a teenager.
That's probably. That's the messed up part right there.
Yeah. To undercut the seriousness of the situation.
But that was, to me, that was the magic of the show, because you're removing yourself from real life, right? And it's like this hilarious situation, which, again, Rachel seems like she feels like she got the upper hand, right? She got to run away in the dress.
Dumper.
Right. And then she shows up and she's like, you're tan, you look good, you got lenses, what's going on? Oh, and you're with somebody that you are happier with than you were with me. And that's a heavy thing to deal with as an ex person. Do you know what I mean? To see your ex happy with somebody else.
Even the one, like, even she dumped him. Obviously, she knew that the relationship wasn't going to be good. She didn't want to do it. She wants to be a hat, right? Or a purse or a shoe, right? That's what she wants. But she still goes back and having her old life look at her in the face and be like, yeah, we didn't really want you here anyway, right? Like, it's definitely, even though she put it down, she still feels that rejection, which makes her character more likable
because
in the
real.
long run.
That's very I feel like that's a very relatable scenario to be in. And I think it was actually my most favorite scene was the dynamic with that kid when Barry's like, this is going to hurt. And he's like, me?
Yeah. And she's like, spit. She goes, what? No, me.
That was, I literally LOL'd.
This is a pretty good one.
Watching it now as, almost 40 is way different than watching it when I fell in love with it as a preteen.
What was your impression as a preteen?
I guess it's just lighthearted. I never really thought about the reality of what was happening.
Someone be pregnant who you're no longer with.
Right.
The whole divorce is not something.
You said lesbian.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm just picturing these two women having sex as a child, when I was a preteen. I was just a horny little kid. That's probably all I was thinking about. And that's another thing. Like, I used to think Susan wasn't attractive. Looking at her now, I was like, she's not that bad looking.
Yeah.
They
were not
for her
sexualized.
Her shoes?
Susan? No, can I just stop you guys for just 1 sec? I'm just going to divert back really quickly because when they were in the OBGYN office and she just had these white sneakers with the largest white socks I've ever seen. Right? Like that. It's just white sneakers and they just went up halfway up her leg.
I didn't know.
You know what that outfit?
My least favorite thing.
Because if I remember correctly, it was
90s.
a button-down dress.
It
that was a
was.
V-neck with little short sleeves.
Yes.
You know who it reminded me of? Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld. And
Seinfeld.
she would wear the long white socks with
Yes.
ugly loafers.
Right.
Yes. So
Yuck.
maybe this was
It makes me want to throw up.
maybe that was a 90s trend that did not age well.
Yeah, maybe. Well, but yeah, just now, as a grown-up, I don't relate to any of them. Personally, individually, the closest, I guess, would maybe be Phoebe because she's the most dysfunctional in the most relatable way. I was never actually homeless, but there were, times it verged on that.
Yeah.
But, my parents... Well, let's not get into that.
All right, this isn't therapy, David.
No,
this is a safe space if you wanted to talk about it.
I just felt like I don't relate to any of these people, and mostly that came from seeing Monica being so uptight about her parents coming over, and then them being so judgmental.
They were awful.
They're the worst.
The worst. That's
She-
exactly what my notes
she-
say.
The mom is just like a passive aggressive bitch,
Yeah.
just flat out saying some of these things. Like she picks up the dustbuster and turns it on and acts surprised and says, "I guess this does work."
Yeah.
That's so fucking fucked up.
And because Monica spent all day cleaning that apartment.
Yeah, and then she fluffs the pillow that she was.
the pillow.
She spent all day doing it. It's just never enough for some people.
And then the father is just an idiot. He's
I
just a
love him.
moron.
What's the
He's an
actor?
idiot.
Favorite.
Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould.
He's just an idiot
crops
jackass.
up.
He's just a jackass.
Wait, tell us how you really feel.
He's
Dave.
a jackass. He compared her to a cow, and then he doubled down like I like cows.
Yeah, she
She knows how much I
like
love cows.
That's so funny.
Don't be an idiot.
I will.
She's a cow.
My favorite.
I think this episode endeared me a lot to Ross. And I think there was that situation where he's sitting at that table and he's like, I know I'm the favorite child. I'm watching Monica kind of get slammed by our parents. And he's not stepping in, but also he's not engaging in it. And he's sort of in that place that siblings are in sometimes where it's like, what do I do in this situation? And I love my sister. And as soon as these assholes leave, we know we're solid.
Right.
She knows I'm on her team. But in this moment, I am frozen because I'm a child again in front of these assholes.
Yeah.
Ross
And then
and-
she has to force him. She puts her elbow on
Yeah.
his hand. That's definitely a sibling move.
No,
Yeah.
it's total sibling
They
move.
are, Russ and Monica are sibling. Their relationship is closer and more functional than, I don't know about you guys. I have 4 sisters who I love dearly. If you guys are listening, totes love you guys. But
Don't laugh after that.
no, I'm just saying that their closeness is something I've never experienced. How close they are.
Right. Well, yeah, me and my sister, we had ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
We had serious fights, but I mean, they talk about that too.
As they get older, they
Yeah,
became
it's like
closer.
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Or more on their team.
I'll be honest, before I watched the show, I thought Ross and Monica were supposed to be twins because they're relatively the same age. But the Phoebe twin got dropped. And
Right.
then they never mentioned anything about Monica and Ross. So now I'm sort of like, I got the feeling after I figured out that they weren't twins that he was the older brother.
yeah,
Anybody?
he's a little older.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Nailed it.
he meets Chandler in college while
Right.
they're still in high school.
Oh,
Right.
there you go.
Yeah.
Monica and Rachel because they went to high school together.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing? I know that we're going to circle back to this, but Rachel with giving the ring back, which is a real thing that people have to do, and you
don't have to.
It
was really
legally.
unlike her, honestly, to give back the ring.
So here's my understanding legally that a engagement ring, and we can look this up, but the engagement ring is a contract. And so when you give it to somebody, they are required by law to give it back to you.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
This is like a real thing. It's a very grown up, and you have to face the person you were going to spend the rest of your life with and then be like, here's the contract back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you, but
nice
no
to know.
thank you.
But, yeah.
Just in case anybody in the room was thinking about getting engaged ever.
That's
Yeah.
another thing to think about. That's a big
You're not allowed to get rid of the
hard thing
ring.
to do.
For ladies out there who are looking at the diamond on their hand thinking about pawning it, you have to give that shit back.
Because she jumped out the window.
Wait, what?
She didn't
Yeah.
make it to the altar and then run away in front of everybody. She snuck out of the building and ran away.
She probably left a note. It's common courtesy to leave a note.
I don't know. She was in her dress. She probably didn't have pockets.
No. Everybody leaves a note, right? That's like the thing you do. That's
think
How I
she
Met
le-
Your Mother taught me.
I think she
Is
left
that
the
you
note
have
with
to leave a
Mindy.
note. Oh.
And then she gave it to
Mindy
him orally.
gave it to him orally.
And then when Ross comes back to Monica's apartment and reveals that Carol is pregnant,
Right.
Guy.
revealed the
guy.
worst outfit for me. Ross's outfit
Wait,
that day.
Ross's outfit?
Yeah,
with
it's
the
like
tie?
He had
the
like
tie
a
was the worst. I
What?
couldn't. The tie was so gross. He was like disheveled in
Yeah.
the beginning, so it was like loosened, but it made it look like oversized, and the way it was hanging on his
does sometimes-
long sleeve button up denim shirt should not have a tie on it.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't. But then in the next scene, because he's wearing the same outfit later that night for dinner, he tightens it up, and I was like, okay, so that looks a little bit better. I thought it was a choice. I thought it was a fashion choice, but I was like, no, he was just like stressed out.
Disheveled is
Yeah.
the word you're looking for.
I said that. Yeah,
I know. Well, okay, it was a
but I
great
didn't
word.
realize. I didn't at first. I was like, what the fuck
I
is
am
this?
actually genuinely shocked because for me, man, I must be on the Ross. I'm a fan of Ross, apparently. Okay, when we open, Ross looks wonderful. He looks very professional. He's at work, right? He doesn't have a jacket on, but he's got a button up and a tie, which is fabulous. Like, I'm here for a man in a tie.
Then I didn't notice it at first. I only noticed it when he came to the
But that's
apartment when it was pulled down.
The costume designer made an excellent choice. She put him in belt. It was tucked in. It was a button up with a tie. And then when he gets to Monica's apartment, the tie is gone. He's loosened the shirt. He's obviously been like sweating with this emotional choice. And then he's like, oh, dinner with the parents. Got to button the shirt back up. But the tie was missing. And so it
he
showed
had the tie on.
at dinner.
Yeah, it was after when they were in the coffee house that the tie was gone.
See, and I think
Days
it's
over.
continuity. Yeah, because
Tie's
that's what,
gone.
yeah, I thought
Same shirt. Yeah,
I thought
because
it was
she
a
was
nice
wearing
choice.
what you guys argued about Monica's shirt/vest.
Shirt vest.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a questionable.
So
she was
is
wearing
that
a
going on the
crisp
total count?
white vest.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said the word.
It was. It had a little tie in the back. It was
sure
buttoned
did.
down. It definitely looked to me like something that would be over something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I saw it, I said, "That's a white vest," and she's going commando. Like she doesn't got nothing underneath that,
It's
and
a
she
bold
should.
choice.
It's bold. It was
Yeah.
a bold outfit.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
counted-
you counted the first vest of the lady I
Docent.
didn't like. What
Yeah.
the docent?
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah,
did you
so-
say her name was?
Marsha.
Marsha.
Yeah.
Marsha's
Got it.
vest, which is like a
Which
work
is
vest,
the red vest.
because she had a speaking role. Are we counting the vest?
I'm counting the
I
vest.
think it was
she
a
absolutely
choice.
100%.
Yeah, I think it
she
was a-
speaking.
Okay.
The costume
She
designer
was a
had to put
character.
clothes on her.
They gave her a name.
They gave her a name.
She
Okay,
counts.
so they had to have a name to count the vest.
Okay.
Like if they say something and we don't find out their name and they're wearing a vest, we don't count it.
I will be looking for vests in the background.
There
moving
were
forward.
so many vests.
Well, that's what I brought up. I was like, do we start looking
There
at
was
the
one,
people in the
two,
I
Central
think it's
Perk?
just so
Three,
clearly obvious
four.
that this costume designer
At
loves
least
vests.
5
Yeah.
different vests in this 25
Wait a second.
minute show.
I didn't get 5.
You-
How
what do you
many?
mean
Where
you
did you?
didn't
Okay,
get
Because
tell
we're
me
gonna
your
have to
5.
start watching these episodes twice. We're gonna have to watch once just to watch, and then the second
Wait,
one.
I would like to know
on
Nikki's
Vest
vest
Watch.
count. 'Cause
Yeah,
I only had
absolutely.
3.
There were so many. So at the beginning,
I stopped when you were like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, well, that's because you didn't say the first one until like I was on number 4.
Apparently, I missed Marsha's best. I was just appalled by everything she was saying.
So at the very beginning, Rachel is wearing a jean vest. Chandler is wearing his in the coffee shop. Chandler's wearing his 4-colored, like 4-sectioned vest that he's wearing throughout the episode.
Wait, who is?
Chandler.
No. That was part of his shirt.
No.
Those were panels. No, I looked.
No, I looked.
All right.
Wait, are you talking about his plaid? Like there was one where there was like a square plaid,
and then the back was blank.
Mm-hmm. I saw that one.
A different one.
This is a different one,
God,
right
I'm
at
like
the beginning.
Best blind. Okay.
Yeah, right at the beginning. I'm telling you. I'll go back and
I'll remember too.
I'm gonna find a picture of all 5 of these so that I'll put them in the chat.
You should post them on the Instagram.
I'll put them in the Instagram.
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely,
we'll do a
so
vest
that
count.
you guys can see I'm right about this.
Okay, what was the next one?
And then there was the red vest from the museum lady, right? Marsha, who we talked about. Monica's vest shirt, if we want to count that one's one. And then Ross, when he's in the OBGYN, has that tan brown one. Yuck, that one also looked way too big for him.
Yes,
it did.
I
It
think
made him look childlike in that OBGYN.
I think Ross is a giant person. This is what's his name? David Schwimmer.
David Schwimmer.
Because I feel like his clothes don't fit him properly. Like they're like, oh, we went to the extra large, big and tall
It
store
is
for
90s
you.
also.
And it's the 90s.
A little larger was like the style.
Yeah, unless you were a skinny woman, and then they're like tight as you can be.
Right.
Yeah, but he was playing with the OBGYN baby plastic things, which are way out of reach of a normal person, and he's like flinging the baby.
Yeah, he's got to be like 6'2".
He must be very tall.
Yeah,
he's got to be like 6'2".
He also was like playing with the cervix, right? The cervix opener.
What is that?
Tool. I don't know. I know what it is. I've seen it a million times.
Right,
I know it's painful.
He makes it quack.
He makes the quack.
Yeah.
So this whole episode might have been designed to make him look like a giant baby because no. I saw a lot of things where not a giant baby, excuse me.
Okay.
But he looked
He's only
oversized.
He's 6'1".
He's 6'1", but
he looked
all
giant.
this stuff was oversized.
But he was, I think, more or less,
Smaller.
he comes across as very innocent. I think he is a grown man who has the innocence of someone who is
I feel like we're saying
life.
the same thing.
But here's the thing. I like that we got to set up Ross. He's a professional. He's at work. His opinion matters. He wears a tie, right? Like that sets him up for this level. And then by the end, he's like, he's getting crushed by what's going on in his life.
Right, yeah. He's also, just a big nerd. He's a dinosaur scientist. And
paleontologist.
Why is that funny? That's a great job.
That's the way that he
college
said it.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
I guess this is a spoiler alert.
Well, then don't say it. She's never seen it, David. What are you doing?
Whatever.
Don't.
The spaghetti time lapse was disgusting.
Just a change of subject. Good.
Spaghetti time lapse was very unique. That was an
yeah.
interesting choice.
It was it was gross. It was grossed me out each time. And then you had to see Elliot Gould sop up this disgusting looking sauce and put it in his mouth.
You don't like the mouth?
I hate watching people eat.
The mouth views.
One of my biggest
you had
pet
that.
peeves.
What was that show that we watched? Fargo.
Yeah.
When we started, was it season 3 of Fargo?
I think
4?
it's season 3. Yeah.
He like warned me this whole time. He was like, they show this dude's mouth so often. They do all these close-ups of his mouth, and it's disgusting, and you're gonna hate it. And I was like, that is such a weird thing to warn me about.
But they only really. In reality, after watching it again, they only did it like 3 times. And I just amplified it in my head after watching it the first time. I was like, I'm never watching that. It's disgusting.
I have to mention something. And I am a little scared to mention it because I did not find it problematic. But I think other people on this podcast may have. And that was the very real conversation about the baby's name and the baby's last name.
Ooh, that was a rough one.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is that Ross is the father of this child. He's not a sperm donor.
Biologically.
He's not a sperm donor. They weren't two lesbians in a relationship going out and trying to have a baby.
Facts.
She was a married woman who had sex with her husband.
An affair.
And then had a baby.
Yeah, she had an affair with this
woman.
And
now she's having an affair with this woman. She leaves her husband for this woman, moves in with this woman, and then decides this woman is going to be the mother of this child, which is appropriate. I understand you're starting a new family. That's the whole point of divorce.
It really accelerates that relationship.
Jesus Christ.
Intense,
it's
though.
so fast.
Yeah, because he goes from being in a loving, committed relationship to finding out that not only is his wife gay, but has been having an affair with a woman. And then his marriage is over. All of a sudden, he finds himself alone in an apartment. And then he's trying to move on with his life. He's talking to this horrible woman about cavemen. And then all of a sudden, his wife comes in and tells him that she's pregnant. And
devastating.
That's insane. Like, I don't know what the timeline is. Like, what's the earliest you can find out you're pregnant?
Well, she could find out she was pregnant right away. I mean, within a few weeks. But the sonogram, you do not do that until you are well into pregnancy, because otherwise it's just a zygote.
So she never thought she was pregnant.
Right.
Never even
I think the magic of television accelerated things, let's be honest.
She found out because of something her body was doing. And then
I can tell David's never had a pregnancy scare.
How do you know?
Laugh it up.
With the only one here without a uterus.
I don't understand the timeline. It all happens so fast. Ross goes from being married to being divorced to a lesbian who was having an affair. So it's like, fuck this person. And now, oh my God, she's having my kid. So all these feelings are still here. Yeah. Now, this woman who my wife had an affair with is here and is in the room during the sonogram. Like, why are you even in here? This has nothing to do with you. See, that's like, am I being intolerant? It's because it happened so fast.
Here's why. This is why I think you might be missing something, because they don't tell us the time frame.
We're
might be possible.
To figure it out.
It might be possible that the bad guy in this situation is actually Carol. Because she might have been in this committed relationship with Susan for a year. Right. And then she may have slept with Ross on the side.
Exactly.
This is what, I don't know if you guys have ever had an ex, but sometimes you come over to drop off a box of things and you accidentally sleep with this person. So, I mean, it's perhaps, I think the relationship might end, say, January 1st, but you might still be sleeping with them in October. Right, and so I think that's where.
Well, see, this is
Carol
hard,
might
because
be
I don't know what we can and we cannot talk about, because what can we reveal to her?
They're motioning to me, you guys, who's not in the room. That is David and Nicole looking at each other, not wanting to spoil the series for me.
I can't recall if it was like the What If episode, because they have that like What If.
Did you have a What If?
Yeah, and so is that where Ross was trying to set up a three-way?
Yeah, I think that we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think that we're getting ahead of ourselves, and I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you, because if you don't know, we're watching it, and let's watch it and find out. Well, and then remember this.
I think where we need to just pick up is
it's pertinent to the conversation we're having right now.
Well, I think where we have to meet the characters is where they're at.
Exactly.
Which is Ross and Carol are not in a committed relationship anymore, but they have had sex recently enough to have had a biological baby, but not so recently enough that Susan and Carol are not in a committed relationship now, excited to raise the baby. And I think this is where Ross is a little bit of the third wheel, Susan's a little bit of the third wheel, there's a little bit of alpha situation happening, and nobody is blaming Carol. Everybody loves Carol.
Right. Carol's the bad guy, because she is having a conversation with her new lover, her new partner, about their baby's name. Ross is not even in the room when they're having this conversation about the baby's name, which is so messed up.
Well,
and that they're not even going to let him have his last name, when she's like, no, it's not going to be Geller, it's going to be Willick Bunch, which is Carol Willick Susan Bunch.
Right.
Susan Bunch should not be
The thing is,
in the room or in the title.
I understand where you're coming from, but here's the problem with what you're saying is that she is starting a new family.
She's a homewrecker.
She
Carol didn't want to make a home with Ross.
She did though. And then she
yeah,
had sex with him without a condom.
Oh, good point.
People's feelings change.
Yeah, I think to the way that Ross introduces it to us, he is not really excited to be a dad. He's not talking about that he's going to be a father. He's saying Carol is having a baby. Mm-hmm. This is not I'm not going to be a dad.
Right.
Carol is having a baby. Totally. Like that's the mindset I automatically pick up is this is her kid, not his. Mm-hmm. It's her body, her choice.
And
she's choosing to have the baby, and I can be involved if I want to.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of sad, but he doesn't want this
and
baby.
I think that has a lot to do with, the way that that we all look at bringing a new life into the world. I think everyone kind of looks at it differently.
Sure does.
I absolutely am in the same boat as you, Carol. Mm-hmm. I think, and Carol on the show, Carol's, that, you know what, if I get pregnant, that is my baby until I invite anyone else into the picture. It's my baby. It's mine. I think everyone has to make that decision. You can invite the father in. I can invite my lesbian lover in. I can invite my my old gym coach in if I want to. It's my baby until I decide who's going to be involved.
Yeah.
So, but I am a woman and I make the baby. I've no idea what it's like to be a man and to make a baby.
Well, here's what I
think.
Here's what I think. I think this is why the episode touched me so in such a soft spot is because I hear Ross coming in. We don't know the whole conversation that Carol and he had. It sounded like it was hours long. Maybe he had been, thinking it over and kind of doing some soul searching. And like I said, he was very removed from the situation. This is her baby. I can be involved if I want to. Until the little heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And suddenly he puts his hand on Susan and Carol's. And in that moment, that's your family. They are now a family.
Right.
There's absolutely no question that he's going to be involved, she's going to be involved, and she's going to be involved. Mm-hmm. And they're going to put aside their differences for the betterment of this new little baby heartbeat. And I got teary.
Heartwarming. Mm-hmm.
It was really sweet. Yeah. And I think that's, again, it's very real. This is a grown-up. There's a lot of egos involved, and life is fucking messy, and parents can be assholes. But when they are willing to put their differences aside for the betterment of the kid.
You think that it was okay that Susan was in the room?
In the room?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's our partner now. They're living together. They're in love. They're a partnership. Their relationship is very important.
Pregnancy from the man
absolutely.
Whose marriage you destroyed. What if Susan was Steven?
Yeah. If Ross had
what
said...
What if Susan
was a man.
Was a man.
It was a man. Oh.
Here's the way I look at it.
Steven?
Carol got pregnant, and she could have taken it one of two ways. She could either give birth or not give birth. And she probably, when she decided to give birth, she talked to the person that she's living with, that she's going to raise the child with,
right?
Having that very real conversation with them, and then going and telling the ex, hey, this happened. I just need you to know, and I don't expect anything of you. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a very mature thing to have said, because I'm giving you the option to be in this person's life but you will not be in my bed romantically, but you can be involved in this family in
my new family. Yeah. That's why I've separated from you.
And I think it says a lot about Susan that she's willing to step up and raise a baby that's not hers.
Yeah.
That she didn't even plan or choose to have. Mm-hmm. So
she's still all right, whatever. She should not be in the title. Bunch should not be a part of that baby's name.
I think that having her, because she would eventually probably have to adopt that baby in order for it to be fully hers, especially in the 90s.
I'm not sure how that works. Yeah.
When they can't, I'm sure they can't get married at this time, but.
Ooh, fuck. Good point.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the last name thing is funny now. Like, I think it was definitely a joke then, because it's very patriarchal what your last name. women now don't feel that they have to take men's last names. It is 2024.
It's happening less and less.
It's happening less and less. But at that time,
like,
it was
bitch, you don't own me.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a real thing to take your dad's last name. And so I think it was a really funny thing where they're all fighting for the first spot. But that was all ego. I think that it was just a pissing contest.
Yeah,
until the baby's heartbeat, and then they were like, forget it, we're all on the same team here.
And I think that at the end of the day, this is a very heartwarming show that puts difficult situations in front of people who are trying their best and giving them the opportunity to mess it up in a fun way and then come back around to make the right decision.
Speaking of fun way, I thought too, and again, I'm the only one in the room who's actually had a baby, but this is funny to me, is the parents listening to that heartbeat the first time and they are just fucking melting. And then it's like, let me share this with my single friends. And they're like, this is a potato?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed because I like Joey and Chandler and Phoebe were in this episode as side characters, as supporting characters. You learn a little bit here and there. They have their lines, but they're not a part of like the main story. Their whole vibe is like, I'm the single, like not mindless, but like I'm like the single, just
they were like a support.
Wrapped up in their own stuff, just like, I don't know, what am I looking at? Like,
also, I think that'll segue nicely into this. One of the most important side characters was introduced in this episode.
That's right.
What?
The most important.
Who?
Ugly naked guy. And in this episode, he got a thigh master.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Ew. Ugly naked guy got a thigh master.
I'm sorry.
That's
Are
right.
you? Are you talking about the scene where they're looking out of the
Yes.
big plate window?
Monica's window.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
right
a New
across the
York,
way.
right, city apartment
into
where
the
you're
apartment
right
of a
next door to everybody
ugly
else.
naked guy.
And one of the things that you have to deal with when you're staring at other people's windows is the weird shit that they do when they think they're alone.
He's a reoccurring character and joke, and it only gets better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
one of my favorite reoccurring.
Nice.
So that's
jokes.
pretty fun.
That is funny.
All right. Well, do we have any final
Well,
thoughts?
what was the total vest count?
5?
Apparently it was 5.
It was 5.
Oh, so this episode was 5.
That's
Do we
right.
have?
I don't have a count
For the first episode? You'll have to go
because
back?
we just went through and talked about how ridiculous it was,
The
and I
vests.
didn't actually count. So
Okay.
I'll have to
And
go
I know,
back.
I know that David's worst dressed because he was very passionate about Ross's outfit.
Yeah,
Oh man,
it was very distracting.
Yeah.
I will say his as far as like I didn't find anything horribly offensive until Ross's tan vest over the white shirt
Oof.
at the OBG.
So
That
rough.
was rough.
He looked, pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one more thing. There was a line
final
that
thoughts.
Phoebe made, and it was when Ross was talking about this situation with Carol and Susan, and Phoebe goes, "Oh, she's so great,"
I miss her.
and I thought it was funny for so many reasons. Like it is, when you break up with somebody, your friends then have to break up
Right.
with them, and like. Oh, she is great in that moment. It just slips out of her mouth without any thought to Ross's feelings. It was very,
Phoebe she's definitely one of my favorite characters. I love her whole, I was homeless and my life is insane, but then I found massage therapy and now I'm all like, ooh, let me help your aura and I'm a psychic or I can see ghosts. She's like,
Quirky, weird,
I'm
and
quirky
cool.
and weird and cool, but she doesn't play a ukulele, which makes her actually cool. Not hipster cool.
I will say too, the hair and makeup of all the women is phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are just the prettiest women. It's unbelievable. Like, all right, the guys are fine, but like the women are.
Joey's hair in this episode, loved it.
Yeah, they're
The
good
hair
looking people.
all around was much better in this episode
Yeah.
compared to the
Woo,
pilot.
that pilot was a little rough.
Yeah,
little-
everybody
hard.
had a little more time spent on their hair.
Probably
Yeah,
had an
nice.
entire different design team actually, and like hairstylists.
They
and
probably
stuff.
did.
They probably
Yeah.
did.
The ones who were going to stick out the show as opposed to the
So it
ones
could be.
who were being paid for
Yeah,
the
maybe-
pilot.
Maybe that is something we'll have to look into, like people who were in wardrobe and whatnot.
Well, if we're going to be smashing
attacking
on
these
best
people's best choices.
and talking about their outfits that are awful,
Yeah.
I think we should
Maybe
know their
we
names.
find out these people's names and then we can attack them
I'll
on
email
Twitter.
them. Oh yeah, Twitter. God, I feel I'm gonna email them. No, I'll tweet
No,
it.
well, we should just
I'm
find
gonna
out.
send them a pigeon.
I'll write them a letter.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at who the costume designer was and
That's
if
funny.
they worked on other shows that we loved from the 90s.
But yeah, I was just looking at my notes. I had a side note that was with the scene of the OBGYN with the sonogram. Susan, I mean, I've been going off about Susan,
Yeah,
but just
A little bit.
just in general. But she's kind of an asshole.
she
She's
is
kind of a dick to Ross.
automatically. But these people have a relationship.
Man-hating lesbian.
Right, you have to
when she was
understand
like-
that she started
her,
off.
her
Might not be
comment
man-hating,
about the
it might be just
sperm,
Ross
like I know
specific.
how,
I think it's probably
what a
Ross.
challenge that is. Like
Yeah.
that was not the point, bitch.
I think it's
David
funny.
feels very strongly.
I do. I also, I'm just going to, I find it interesting that you would latch on to that joke as being offensive and not the one that Chandler made
Yeah.
about, oh, you did the hardest part.
Yeah. No, he said
Or what
the
was
heart.
it?
He said that
The most enjoyable. It was Joey.
Joey said it was the most enjoyable, but
Yeah.
Chandler basically said your part in this is finished. Like your main
Yeah.
part is
You
finished.
didn't find that problematic because it came out of a boy's
That's
mouth.
right. Exactly.
No, I was
Snap.
writing
Get 'em,
down
get 'em.
about how much I hated Ross's outfit, so I didn't hear anything they were talking about.
I couldn't hear you over the sound of the bad outfit.
And then as you were describing the whole Carol being thoughtful, is that's what she went to his work to tell him and reveal it, and that's probably when she said you can be involved or you don't have to be. But I was just thinking about how big of a bitch Marcia was, so I didn't hear anything they said because I'm really bad at watching TV.
He is notoriously very. I tell him that all the time. He's really bad at watching.
I'm
TV.
just visceral and reactive.
Yeah.
No,
And I recently quit smoking, so all of my opinions are the most important.
I do think it's interesting. I'm glad that we are a mix of genders listening to, like I said, it's a real problem, but it's a comedy. And so they're making
Right.
light of something that's very heavy. And I think it's nice to have different perspectives, because, life experiences and genders and all of that
Absolutely.
factor in. And so it's a very, I would never have thought that deeply about this show had we not, had that discussion. So
Yeah, no, that helps
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a lot of fun.
Do you have any
I
final
enjoy
thoughts?
talking to you. My final thought is that I really enjoy talking to you guys about my favorite show, Friends. And you guys are my favorite people, and I'm really excited to keep doing this with you. And you guys, anyone who is listening, we should call them listeners and not fans for anyone who's starting right now.
they might be Friends fans.
They might be Friends fans, but right now, our listeners.
They're just Central Pod friends.
Central Pod Friends. Yes, we invite you to be a Central Pod friend and watch along with me as we watch for the first time. Maybe you watched them sporadically in the 90s when they were on broadcast TV, and maybe you're like Nicole and you owned a disc set but not the whole series.
That's right.
Like Nicole did. Or maybe like me, you're watching it for the first time. So I'm really interested to hear
You
what
said that twice. Or maybe you're David. And you did some things.
Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm Carol, and I'm Carol. Good night.
Hard.
Okay, so what was
All right.
the outro?
You want to do? Hold on, the outro that I had. This is so we worked really hard on this. You don't have to keep that in, but
All right. Are you
I'm just
gonna
gonna
play
say
us
it.
out?
No, I'm just gonna say that we are your Central Podcast friends, and we'll be there for you next week. Perfect. Cut. Wow. Love it.
Hey, Central Pod friends. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at CentralPodFriends. You should definitely email us at CentralPodFriends@gmail.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify.